Success is a strange phenomenon. When you fail to have consistent success, you will often be looked upon with disgust by your subordinates. But ironically, if you have too much success, you may be similarly looked upon with disgust by your superiors, as their admiring glances change into burning envy and eventually hatred. Really hemorrhaging. This guy's going to my Zia. Of course, whatever you do, don't help. With our city under siege here, you dipshit. Let's see what we can do here. Got 118 influence. Let's get horse archers. There we go. Man. It's getting dire. But a battle here is looming. We should be able to make it to Amprella. Let's go ahead and start an episode here. All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. Welcome back to our epic Vlandian campaign. Not long since the Southern Empire has disappeared here, and we continue to roll in the east side of this story, right? This multi-sided storied campaign. We are with the children of the main protagonist. Baron York is out west, rampaging and executing. In the east, Rylan is trying to find his place in Calradia. He's got a nice assortment of gear and a sort of steadily growing assembly of companions, family members. Turin is with them now. Anytime you have Turin Turumbar, you feel good in battle. We can call his sister in here. I need to make a few companions. We need to gather a few at cities, and then of course we will continue to add Patreon members that want their specific companion added to the campaign. Of course, you can feel free to join that list of guys who are actually going to be part of this campaign. You can even have your own character in the campaign. Now, the Southern Empire fell last episode. If you didn't miss it, they are gone. We destroyed them at Yogur's castle. Now, we are only at war with Sturgia, although war with the Aserai looms is likely. They just have a huge kingdom as well. Ragenvad is actually at war still with Baron York and the other Vlandians up in the west. Again, these side stories continue to play alongside each other here as I try to present this unique campaign to you fellas. Hopefully it feels alive, and we will continue to add cutscenes and storylines into this. Now, we're having a real influence problem here. Part of the reason is we're not winning very many battles. The Sturgeons are so difficult to defeat. And also, of course, we have to maintain a huge army just to match up against them. And this is not what we needed here. Almost 2,700 Sturgeons at Umbrella. It seems like never-ending battles, specifically right around here at Amprella. Hopefully this can finally be the savage battle that sends the Sturgeons packing. Although again, I don't know if we can win this, and I can't call any more armies to us. Right before I started this episode, or I think I probably won't include it, we picked up a couple of other armies to swell our host here a little bit. And you can see our influence. We have 14 influence. So we got some problems here in this campaign. These battles are becoming must-win from an influence standpoint. Otherwise, we're going to have to go with a minimalist army for a while and just sort of reset Ryland's influence, right? Our clan influence. Now, I don't see this other army, but I have no choice to engage here. Look at the city's almost down. There's fucking 5 defenders. So in we go here, right? This is just, you can't give it up here. Okay, I don't think those armies there will engage, but don't forget the reinforcement system is at stake here, right? I'm hoping some Khuzait forces join us with the reinforcement system because Zuvan is here. There are all kinds of elite Sturgeons here, and you know what that means. They're going to have the Norse, or rather the Varangians, are going to be part of another titanic battle here.
Under my command!
Now, it's a snowy battlefield. Okay, we've got a little bit of time here to divide our units, but we're getting to a very difficult stage of this campaign from a tactical standpoint, a strategic standpoint, rather. I've got to start winning battles here. We're going to have to reset the army and essentially run around with our army of 500 or 600 just clan members to gather influence. And while that's happening, right, our Khuzait is going to get blasted by Sturgia. So we're definitely pressured at this stage of the campaign. We need to start winning battles. And of course, we have to avoid death and all the other things that go alongside with that, right? We're facing these nasty foes. The death for all mod is cranked every single battle. You know, you just sort of hold your breath at the end for the recap and just hope you didn't lose 2 family members and three companions. See here. Let's anchor both wings with cavalry. We'll put the 3rd and 2nd out front on the angles. There's all kinds of elite lords here, Sturgeon lords. Again, Zuvan is here, and you got to be careful. These guys will literally one-shot you with their axe. Zarina, that's not one of them, but for sure they're in there, right? The Norse continue to be a major part of this campaign. Of course, this storyline. Part of it is foreplay here before we get the DLC and the actual Norse. It's been a lot of fun creating this out of thin air. This is not something that you get with vanilla Bannerlord, but between... Are they charging already? Okay, we've got nice strong infantry lines here. I don't think they're going to be able to charge that quickly. They're probably charging the edge of our cavalry wall. That's okay. There's 500 infantry there, and you know what? Almost all of them are probably Varangians. Okay, that side looks good. I was just going to say, though, between some character editing and making these unique Norse units and the Varangians, we really have, you know, a wholly different game than vanilla Bannerlord. This wall of Sturgeons is just a whole new animal with Varangians, but I fucking love it, right? To have this kind of a challenge. At the same time, we continue to do both the Bannerlord Rivalry series, where we're executing tactics for kingdoms that likely face each other in campaigns, and we're also doing the Disaster of War series, just to keep the channel sort of stocked fresh with different kinds of content for you fellas. Not everybody wants to see the Rivalry series, and not everybody wants to see the Disaster of War series, etc. So hopefully there's something for everybody here. And if not, I'm sure there's you know, plenty of Sesame Street and other shit out there for you guys to watch. You know, we're doing the best we can here, though, to provide content for you fellas as I continue to hope I can do this as a hobby job as I get older here. Now, I'm trying right now to destroy this cavalry unit. There's a isolated cavalry unit here. I'm watching the rest of the battle here, but I've got Khans guards and a heavy cavalry line, and we're really butchering their cav line. We're trying to gain some kind of superiority edge in this battle, and one of the main ways we can do it early on here is to smoke their cavalry. Now, our infantry's playing defense, right? They're just in a huge shield wall line, throwing weapons, presumably at the Varangians. The Varangians are... That's probably their one sole sort of weakness, is that they don't really destroy infantry fast when it's defending. Nobody does, right? When the infantry is defending in Bannerlord, it's basically the strongest element of defense. You know, whether you're in a siege with squares, or in this case with just a huge long line of infantry in a shield wall, it's very sturdy. Now I'm charging here because it feels like we have numerical edge at the edge of the battle there. They're in this huge long line that's perpendicular to our line, so it feels like if we charge there, you know, we'll have 150 guys attacking 60. I like that kind of advantage. Meanwhile, of course, we're going to bring in horse archers behind him. Now, you can't guard forever, you bitch. And we're going to try to shoot these guys in the back while they're fighting our infantry uphill. It's a good setup so far. I like what I'm seeing. 6th, 7th, 8th. We've got 3 horse archer divisions, and that's essential to surround. We're definitely going to have to continue to try to get angles on these Varangians, and it really is about just throwing as many javelins and arrows. There's one of their lords right there. Have another javelin, you bitch. Yeah, he just won't die either. Kill that guy. Look, he's just taking blows to the head, and he's shaking his head no. That was unreal. It really is just a game of attrition versus these Varangians, versus these incredibly elite Norse Sturgeon armies. They're just unbelievably tough. Of course, Zuvan is in here, this level 55 character as well. And the infantry now is brawling in the center of the battlefield. We do have support. Our horse archers are doing pretty good job here behind them, but that death span doesn't look particularly good. Now, we've got cavalry playing defense out there for archer protection. They do have some archers moving up, and by all glances I can see, it looks like they're elite archers on top of that. So trying to keep those Fiend Champs and Sturgeon veteran archers from peppering us too bad. I can actually hear our horse archers being shot here. Let's have these guys charge as well. And just, you're just applying maximum violence to these Vlandians. I've learned to get in and get out. If they start to charge, you get the fuck out, right? Because you're going to get killed. Now, we've got beautiful positioning here. Tactically, we're in a good setup. It's just a question of whether or not it's enough. We're outnumbered. We're outgunned. The enemy has amplified lords. Fight, men! It's a huge infantry scrum. Now, I love battles like this because, of course, it dispels the notion that you can't do tactics in Bannerlord. Specifically, the notion that there's not enough time. I hear that all the time. Infantry battles are instantly over. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they must be talking about vanilla, where there's a whole bunch of recruits. But in this battle, those infantry lines have been clashing for like five or 6 minutes, right? Several minutes. So all kinds of tactics and flanking going on top of that. Here we're going to try to wrap up at least some of their archers. I've got a cav division I'm dragging towards them. Horse archers on their flank. And we're just going to try to give them an uppercut or two before we head back to the other box room. It's just Fiend Champ, Fiend Champ, Fiend Champ, Fiend Champ. Sturgeon veteran archer. It's nasty. Sort of stir them up a little bit. Shatter their confidence, maybe a tad. Now we got to get back to these. And these guys are still in here swaying back and forth like a monstrous, villainous host. It's just an unbelievable infantry line they have. And of course with the, almost got hit there, with the battle size mod, they have 500 infantrymen on the battlefield at the same time. In addition to cavalry, horse archers, everything else. It's a spectacular scene. All right, let's start continuing to circle here with the 4th Division. They have 400 infantry still, even though we've been pounding on it for a while. I do like this ridge here. Look at this ridge. We can start putting reinforcements here in a square. If I get enough infantry, we can make a separate skirmisher line. We have a fair amount of lake rats, ironically, in our army, and that's because their minor clan joined the Khuzait. And they have maybe, 20 or 30 lake rats each of various quality. So between the 4 armies, we have like 100 lake rats here. And that's certainly going to be something we want to take advantage of. All those deadly javelins. It is, to me, by far the strongest minor clan. Have that much ammo is just absolutely deadly, and we're going to need it because the sturgeons are just pouring in here like a zombie apocalypse. But these are like, it's more like the Uruks of the 2 towers. They're just tough as fuck. They're armored. They're all wielding deadly weapons, and they're still storming over the ridge like they don't feel pain. Now, a little hammer and anvil to slow them down here. Start setting up infantry lines. We do have a bunch of lake rat wreckers in there. I can recognize them by their little helmet and their shield. So let's get a separate infantry line here. We can put it right in front of all these archers and horse archers, a square to our left, and that should be a really good recipe for destruction here. The division doesn't matter. The 7th can just be this skirmisher line. I want it 1 or 2 deep just to, give them more suppression fire, more javelins flying in while they attack our square. And look at the death spam started to change. We got this shit. Come on, boys. Let's get in here. It's not all lake rat wreckers in that 7th. Of course, you can't make it specific during battle with the F3, F5, but it's working, right? At least they have a nice skirmisher line there. The arrows are flying, and we've got their archers cut off. They can't see us at all. Classic reverse slope decline, and now we wanted to take advantage of this shit, right? Trample with cavalry, smoke with horse archers, and scorch with all our ranged units. Fucking archers are coming up. And you just, how could a battle be more epic than this shit? It's just fucking, the javelins and axes are flying, the snow is in the air, both sides are just smashing in huge lines at the center of the battlefield, roaring. I mean, there's so many troops on the field right here. This is beautiful. Let's move this square. We'll do some square distraction process while we spray them with javelins. Here comes a huge cavalry charge. Looks like something out of a movie. Oh my god, that's a lot of troops. Alright, the 7th is beautifully positioned. The archers and horse archers are positioned. I got another archer division up here just to get a flanking angle on them, and they're uphill. I like it. We're fucking winning this battle. Come on, boys. My health is in really good shape. I've got 2/3 of my health. At this stage of a battle, to have 2/3 of your health, you're just loving it. Now, you guys, obviously, that can change in a hurry. Usually when I say that, I get smoked. In fact, here come Thean champs and archers. Let's give them some cavalry to deal with here. Fuck. Almost got caught up there. Getting smoked. Let's try to run some of these archers over, push them back a little bit from this ledge. They're coming up this hill. God, and as soon as I said it, there I go. There goes my health. I shouldn't have said anything. If we could just sort of push these guys back with cavalry, that'll let our rest of our forces here work. We've got a ton of infantry charging, starting to run out of ammo, so it's time to charge there. I'm starting to see mid-tier troops in our army. That's not good. You know, again, you're not going to see the power bar for battles like this. I don't know, you know, if the enemy has 500 troops left or 1,200. It's just an unknown situation. These archers here are fucked. We're going to be able to smash these guys right here at the ridge. And of course, there's tons more coming over the ridge. All right. Let's see what we can do here. We got to hold the ridge. We don't want to charge over. We do have an obvious advantage here at the ridge. This is our infantry charges. You want to hold the line here, right? You don't want to go over, be sprayed by arrows. We're really getting low on our own archers, 138. 162. We do have a lot of horse archers left, though, so I feel good still. 219. Let's go ahead and get this cav division in there. Archers are resetting here. There's going to be a little pause as we reset. I got to get our heads down from that ridge over there. We're getting smoked. Cavalry will buy us a little bit of time. And let's prepare for another counter charge here. Each time they come over the ridge there in manifest numbers, not like 5, but like 105, we charge. We're going to push them off the ridge. Once they come up to it, charge. Man, there's an awful lot of brigands and stuff in this group. And the enemy, yeah, they have Mamluk palace guards and wildlings. Yikes. Let's get horse archers on their flank over here. This 7th division is now just a square. Like they have no purpose except to hopefully distract. I don't want to add any units to their division as well because they'll be really vulnerable while they move. Let's keep that space open there. This 2nd division can stand right there, pound the enemy with arrows. Let's move this horse archer division down just a little bit for a better angle. Get out of here, smoking our troops from behind. Fucking 200 damage to that guy and didn't die. Die, Sturgeon! Alright, our pathetic infantry line is charging here. God, it's facing tough troops. Their archers are starting to push right through our archer fire. You know what that means. They just have better archers. Fuck. The death spam just flushed red. That was what happened when we charged with our infantry. They charged and got killed. Fuck, we just lost our horse. Let's get cavalry over to this edge here. I gotta separate a unit here. I'm gonna get fucking killed here. I'm behind all archers. Hurry up, cavalry. I need you here yesterday. God, that line is barely holding. I think this fucking battle is over. They got fucking skirmishers moving up on me and shit. Their archers have the ridge. We're toast here. We just got absolutely creamed in the center of the battlefield. I gotta borrow your horse, man. I'm getting javelins thrown at my head and shit. I think we're out of here. Now we're just trying to survive. We gotta get out of this battle. We're gonna have to retreat. It's just all there is to it. I can't believe we didn't get reinforcements. I'm certain the reinforcement system is activated. I don't know. I guess they just don't want to join. Maybe they don't want to be part of the slaughter, but without help, and I thought we would get some Khuzait help here, we got fucking ripped apart here again. Man. And how brutal is this? Now we have no influence, and our army has to retreat in beaten up shape. Instead, the enemy gets the influence, right? The Sturgeons get a whole bunch of influence for winning this battle. And that's a thing, by the way. The enemy gets influence. They get, you know, EXP. They get gold. from battles. Now, we may be able to get away still, I'm hoping, because they're at a siege, right? So usually they're focused on the siege and we can just get away from the battle. But how frustrating, there's any units under my command, how frustrating is that nobody helps us. That the Khuzait forces, they've really turned up like a bitch in the last handful of big battles. There's been a few times where they saved our ass, but here they just abandoned us. And we didn't just lose here, we got routed. We have 200 troops left, we're out of here. In fact, fuck you, Khuzait, we're gonna leave. If they don't want to help us, we're not going to help them. We can't win that. I mean, it does look like they have weak troops left, but we got to get out of here. They're assaulting the Citadel. Is there anybody we can add for 14 influence? I feel like I'm at an auction, and I'm trying to buy rare paintings, and I got $14. Is there anything? I'll bid 14. Nah, you're already outbid. 9,000 is the fucking lake rats are dying. People are getting executed. Khuzait is out there swinging his execution axe. Now, what is happening here? These look like reinforcements. What do we got here? Is that 7? That's 7. She's supposed to be in our army instead. She's engaging. Well, better late than never. We're engaging here. We got to get in here quick and help them. We just may have a shot to pull this out. A little redemption here if we can fucking surround this Sturgeon force and destroy them. It's a very small margin of error, though, so we got to kind of move fast here, because if they get reinforcements themselves, and it's a time-based thing, then we're going to be in trouble. We're not going to have time to destroy them. So, let's see what we got going on first. 500 infantry, of course. We have 150 archers and 500 infantry. Okay, let's start spreading out cavalry here in a big C, and then we're just going to collapse in a hurry, as if our lives depend on it. The influence in this campaign... Who are these troops? There's somebody else charging here. I don't know who that is. So we got some carnage here. Actually, I love this shit, right? It's chaos. We're fighting for our lives here in this campaign. Let's get our forces in here in a hurry. If we can fight with whoever this is, whoever that is that's charging, they're our friends, then maybe we can swing this battle and probably back in our favor. I don't know exactly what the enemy has. It looks like they're down to weaker troops. I see peasants. They still have good archers, so we're going to have to deal with that. But their infantry looks like it's middle tier. I see a mix of armor and just clothing in there, like recruits. So let's get these camels up here in a hurry. 1, 2, 3. That's a good-looking division there. Horse archers on the flank. Whoever this white is, they're engaging. I think it's like a rebel clan or something like that. I don't know. Whoever it is, they're our friends in this battle. Let's push over this ridge here and just burst down upon their infantry.
Make a shield wall! Charge! Follow me!
Just look down. I got a 1/5 of a health bar, so I got to be a little bit light on my toes here. Fucking getting sprayed. Ew, we get shot. Charge. Alright, let's keep these guys wrapping around the edges there. As long as these horse archers are moving, they should have a good chance to mow these guys down. There's recruits and Variag veterans mixed together. Let's bring a cavalry line here and smash their archers, and this battle should be ours. I haven't seen any reinforcement messages. It's almost like the reinforcement messages stopped. I don't know why that would be. I haven't seen one, though, and I might just be so focused on trying to survive. These battles are starting to become very urgent. We've got to start winning battles here. We're just going to get wrapped up. The Sturgeons are just going to roll through our kingdom. Okay, their archers just put their arrows down because they realize they're being trucked here. We've got 2 different horse archer divisions flanking them and a bunch of cavalry just stampeding them. The infantry in the center there is probably going to dissolve. We're badly outnumbered for infantry, but if they can just at least hold them still while we kill all their archers here, those infantry will be fish in a barrel. It's weak infantry, too. I definitely see recruits and dudes that are barely wearing armor in here for the Sturgeons. The Sturgeons, Norse, however you want to call them, they're very war-weary as well. This has been an incredible war of attrition for both sides. There really hasn't been peace for any measurable time in a long time. And, of course, I don't have the influence to ask for peace. I mean, there have been points where we had 600, 700, 800 influence, but it's been so hard to gain 2,000, 3,000 influence where you feel like you're good to go. And of course the size and strength of these enemy forces is dictating that we form huge armies here, right? We can't have an army of 500. and win a battle like this. It's just not going to happen. Now, the enemy just routed, I think. In fact, my graphics are kind of wigging out on me. Sometimes that happens when hundreds of units are all trying to rout. I might edit this out. Let's see what we do here. Sometimes if you just run away and look down, sometimes it clears it. Okay, that seems to have fixed it. They're still fighting. So some of their troops definitely routed. I can see a whole bunch of recruits just pour off the edge of the battlefield. I don't know who the fuck these are. There's guys here with like a dull sort of gray shield. And you know who those might be? Those might be Southern Empire forces. There's definitely reinforcements in this battle. And I swear I haven't seen any messages that said so-and-so joined or whatever. But barring some kind of last-minute change there, I think we got this shit. They do have all kinds of units like running all over the place. I couldn't actually tell you what's going on right now. I think we're winning, right? It's one of those things, like, this is how medieval battles were. You weren't really sure who was winning until you know, at the end of the day, and your enemy all of a sudden wasn't there anymore. They have a bunch of troops up that hill. It's 300 troops. They have a bunch of archers, so let's pull back here. Let's be conservative. If they form a skirmish line up there, we're going to surround it with horse archers and charge. But if they're routing, let's let them rout, right? Now, they're holding still. In fact, they're advancing towards us. You motherfuckers. You guys want to all die, huh? Well, if that's what you want, we will comply. Let's move up units here and sweep through with horse archers and just smash these enemies to pieces. Let's blow them off the board here, fuckers. Yeah, it is. These are fucking neutral clans. And that little indicator there, that means the battle is over. The villagers, evidently, that are nearby here appreciate us getting rid of their tyrannical overlords. We're getting all kinds of relation improvements. The battle better be over because our guys are just lifting their hands in the air. Whatever you do, don't fight, fellas. Thank goodness the enemy doesn't turn and attack us here. We'd be mauled. They're still fighting us. It's hard to actually tell what the fuck is happening here. I think we win. We're going to continue to move up here. At least a lot of the units are running, and we have won this battle. Man, talk about a redemption battle here. This battle was over. I was leaving the scene, and all of a sudden I saw 2 or 3 armies that had engaged that were part of the reinforcement system, and they came late. They came late to the party, but better late than never, right? I mean, we had barely any troops in that battle, or at least from our main army here, but we'll take victory there, right? We lost another noble to death here, and we got to catch our breath in this campaign, man. We are so battered. Our influence is disastrous. I'm simply going to have to disband a lot of this army. What we can do is, for a little while at least, with 3 or 4 armies, maybe 1 or 2 extra armies, we can fight smaller battles around the margins. Maybe we can do a little bit of siege, but we have 21 influence. And we're not gaining very much influence, again, because we didn't win that first big battle. That counts for enemy influence, right? They get that influence because they technically won that first battle. It almost reminds me of, like, you know, when you learn about battles, you would hear it was a strategic victory, but a tactical loss and shit like that. You know, it's the old saying, right? You don't want to win the battle and lose the war, and we're pretty close to doing that here with our influence. I'm simply gonna have to disband some of these troops here. These are all Southern Empire forces. Don't really care about them. Off they go. What are we gonna do here? Let me try to figure out. I can try to, you know, do some policies and work on some things to improve our influence. For sure, one of the functions that's happening here is the reinforcement system fucks with the influence. A couple guys commented, a couple experienced players commented and said, careful with the reinforcement system. It does fuck with influence. It makes it harder basically to gain it, because in battles where there's a whole bunch of reinforcements, the influence system gets a little bit skewed. And I think that's what's happening here as well. But we're going to roll with it, right? It makes the game much harder? Good. That's what we're here for, right? We're going to play whatever you want to call this, Hell Mode, Bannerlord campaign, and we're going to try to adapt and overcome. Now, it's clear we're going to have to disband units here, right? We have a huge army. I can't maintain it, right? Just one little click there uses all of our influence. So we're going to have to get lean and mean in this campaign, which is good because it's going to require us to fight with the Khuzait, which is interesting tactically, but it also is good because it's going to require us to be even more efficient with our tactics. So, let's see what we're going to do here. We'll definitely make it down to Lycaron. The garrison is starting to starve, which is worrisome. And Khuzait. Khuzait's down here? What the Khuzait and Khuzait. Khuzait looks like he's following Khuzait. So Khuzait, the Sultan of the Aserai. Of course, we know Sultan in name only. Wazuban is the real chieftain of the Aserai, is invading because Manchu Khan can't get enough of war. Now he's coming this way. Zhao Liang. And this guy's going to enter into the storyline. We'll give you just a sneak peek of this guy here. You can see he's got a large army on his own. This guy's going to add to the storyline. We'll give you just a snapshot of this fella now. All you need to know is that he will be part of the storyline. Of course, we're not going to be able to chase him down under the circumstances here. And I'm trying to get to Lycaron. Trying not to get killed by the Aserai. What the fuck? And can there be any more carnage in this campaign? I guess the starving people at Akalat have finally thrown us out as governors. Well, I just haven't been able to make it to Akalat. Henry, Rylan, his family haven't been able to make it there because of all the war. It's been quite a while since we visited Akalat. And even when we have visited, we just haven't had enough food to keep the population fed. So we're thrown out of Akalat and we're down to one castle. Things look pretty grim here with the Aserai moving in. The Sturgeons at least holding us at bay. And the War of the Four Powers is developing as well. You can clearly see the might of the kingdoms we're facing here. I'm basically going to run from Khuzait here. I don't know where he's going. It's disconcerting he's heading this way. This is about as large an army as we can probably hold for a little while, right? We've got to build up some influence, which means we've got to win battle. So in a little way, we've got a farm here. And obviously fighting a force of 2,300 Aserai with 1,200 does not count as farming. That counts as being mangled. So we'll run the other way here. Where the fuck are they going? I don't know why they're heading this direction. It's very disconcerting. They headed the opposite direction. Oh, I didn't see this, but evidently they've got their own rebellions to deal with. So I don't know if they'll turn around soon. Generally, the AI is infatuated with dealing with rebellions. So a little reprieve there. Had they come in as well as the Sturgeons, and obviously I can't vote for peace because we have 71 influence. I'm looking down. We can take 1 or 2 armies. I would love to take on 2 or 3 more armies because who knows how many Sturgeons are here at Lycaron. It seems like every time the Sturgeons attack a city, it's 1,500, it's 2,500, it's 3,500. They're starving the garrison. And I'm worried that Aserai force may join us in battle here. The reinforcement system is active. I can tell you, though, I'm starting to get comfortable with the range. Consider the distance between a city and a castle. The reinforcement range is a little bit less than that. So I think we might be out of their range here to engage in this battle. In other words, realistically, that Aserai force won't just magically appear here and destroy us. So it's still a daunting task. We're outnumbered. I can't really call anybody to us. We have 56 armies, and we haven't been getting a whole lot of help. Here, we'll call one more army to us. This guy's close, and we're just going to have to make a go at it, right? As you English folks say, straight away, we're going to attack here at dawn. There won't be any controversy here. We're going to bash the aluminum foil out of these bitches. There's loads of enemies here. We'll use all your British terms. This is going to be a brilliant battle. We hope. We need it, right? I don't know what's going on at Emprella. I never saw something sieging that. It didn't say an army, so I have no idea what's going on there. God, I mean, there's no easy battles in this campaign. Now, if there is a glimmer of sunshine, Ragenvad is here, and, you know, he's the Grand Prince, ostensibly. Kind of like Khuzait. He's in charge of the Sturgeons, but he's not really. He's kind of a bitch amongst all the Nord leaders. And of course, his stats are not magnified like the Nordish guys are. I didn't go in and change anything with Ragenvad. So relative to some of the other battles, this battle might be doable. We'll see. Now the landscape here, I'm looking at it, is perfect. It's Killbox o'clock. We're definitely going to swirl the shit out of these Vlandians. It looks like 500 and something infantry. I hope it's not all Vlandians. Probably is. Okay, we're at the margin of the map here. That's not going to help. So we've got to, you fellas, you know, Killbox-wise, I guess this will be another big demonstration of it. This is going to be a long demonstration because we're going to have no choice here but to simply pound them with arrows until they're almost dead or nearly dead. Even without, you know, extraordinarily powerful lords behind them and artificially high medicine skills, they're going to be incredibly tough to destroy. And there's a huge amount of them, right, holding up those giant shields. So, buckle up. This is going to be a Killbox for the ages here. We have a great army for it. We have a lot of archers. We have a lot of horse archers. They don't need to be in a circle. Thank you. I've got two beautiful cav divisions to protect our wings here, and more importantly than any of that, we have a great landscape here. There's even a little hill behind me where we can position infantry and archers, and even better, and this is important for you guys learning this tactic, it's going to be a command center for me, right? I'm basically going to, in the fire service, we call it establishing a command post. That's like where Napoleon would be in warfare, you know, sitting on a stool with his binoculars or whatever the fuck they had back then. That's what I'm going to do here once we get our units positioned. Kill some of their cons guards. But it really does look like 500 Vlandians here and Banner Knights trying to kill me. Now they have very little besides the Vlandians, 60 cavalry on both wings, so 80% or 70% of their initial wave here is infantry that plays right into our hands. But man, is that a lot. Now you hear the shields just absorbing arrows. It's going to be, you know, can we destroy their shields and shoot them full of holes before we run out of ammo? Of course, eventually we're going to have to charge. We have a bunch of crossbow. Some of our companions, some of the Khuzait that we're with, evidently have sergeant crossbow, because the 5th division, basically, I'm going to call it a sergeant crossbow division. You can tell all the shields are the same. There's a handful of non-sergeant crossbow in there. But that's really interesting that the AI did that. You know, I had to manually divide these before the battle. Let's just back this infantry up here. This ridge here is going to work beautifully. The enemy won't be able to attack these infantry at all, right? I can just pull them up the ridge here, and because they're on this ridge, they can throw throwing weapons down into the enemy, but they can also get out of line of sight if there's a huge barrage of axes, and the enemy's going to have a slower time pursuing them because they'll be having to chase them uphill. So we've got the enemy right where we want them right now, and now it's just strictly distancing. They're flinging axes straight up into the air. I'm not really worried about that. Those are plinking troops for 7 and 5. What you're worried about is a huge barrage up close. Now, these crossbow division, I got to get back, right? These guys will definitely get shredded by 200 throwing axes. You can hear it all. It sounds like fucking a bunch of smithies pounding on metal down there. But we've got these guys seriously surrounded, and it's just the mother of all fish balls here, 500 and something. I think we had one battle earlier where they had 700 or 800 Vlandians. It's not that insane. I can't remember if we won that battle. I don't know if you can defeat this many Vlandians, but you know, we've certainly got the constituencies in place here. If we can't defeat it with this army, I don't know what can. There's no way you can fight this in melee. They will just butcher you. Oops, shit, these guys are too close. Who are you guys? You guys are going to get mauled. I'm losing span of control here. I think that's the 7th or 8th division. 8th division, let's back them up. But mistakes can be made here, right? One of the nice things about the Vlandians is they don't engage very readily. I guess if I'm looking for weaknesses, it'd be terrifying if they just fucking roared in and straight charged something with the death roar. But they're convinced that shield wall and playing defense is the best strategy, and maybe it is, but it also makes it hard for them. There's the Grand Prince right there. His bodyguard got shot off his horse. Maybe we can capture Ragenvad, the dipshit. But they're convinced that shield wall like this, basically a shield square almost, it's like a shield circle, is better than just charging in line formation. I think if I was using the Vlandians, I would put them in line format and chase archers and just obliterate them. And of course you would break your infantry divisions into 4 or 5 divisions here. I might even square and send a couple at infantry divisions. You know, there's all kinds of things you could do if you're using the Vlandians. But I've said this before, if you're using these in a campaign and you're playing Sturgia, you're probably just going to wax everything because they are incredibly powerful. And I'm going to run out of things to talk about here as we just shoot them full of holes. I mean, I just got my command center up here. Our ammo is going to work. Now, I could talk about reinforcements, right? You want to get troops behind the enemy here, but you've got to watch out for big waves of reinforcements, especially cavalry, because you don't want your guys that are directly behind this mass getting crushed, right? Getting steamrolled. Right, if there's 200 heavy cavalry or infantry reinforcements coming up, you want essentially your troops out of the way when that happens. Now I want them to attack our square. I would love for them to turn their backs to our hundreds of archers and horse archers here, but so far they're being kind of cagey. We may have to charge them. They're very weakened, though, at this stage, and I've been able to fend off reinforcements with our 2 cav divisions. We're in full command of this battle here. Now, reinforcements are still a factor, right? I've been kind of biting my nails mentally, imagining, you know, all of a sudden this Khuzait has joined the battle, because we're captured if that happens. It's just, we're fucked. I think we're out of range, and it simulates sort of the viewing distance, right? You can't see from a castle all the way to a city. So it makes sense that if Khuzait is in his army maybe a day's march north of us, that he wouldn't even know this battle was going on, and the hence wouldn't join. And if you're wondering again what I'm doing, the range that I'm using is either 60 or 70, I can't remember which, for the reinforcement system. You basically have a number between 0 and 100. If you set it at 100, troops come from everywhere. It seems like they come from half the map. I don't recommend that unless you want total carnage. And of course, I would say see episodes 24, where it was crazy. Now that we have the system sort of in place, I'm not going to be adjusting it mid-campaign. It's pretty well established. As Henry gains a level, I love it. Ryland's brothers are in there shooting, probably. I think Henry has a bow. If I remember right, he has a bow and an arrow. Right? Those of you who remember and have been watching the full campaign, doing your homework, Henry and Ryland were the original 2 that sort of started this intro here. Right? They were running from brigands, and it was just the 2 of them. Their little cutscene, so to speak. All right, so we're charging hard on one side here, and we're going to just go berserk on the other side. We've got 2 divisions of crossbow. All of these units now can just be sent to charge, right? Basically, swallow up these weakened Varangians and flatten them. In come the sergeant crossbow. In come all of these other infantry, militia, and cavalry, and just a big Varangian sandwich here. And I think they're going to melt. They've been weakened severely by this archer barrage. We have a lot of troops attacking them, and indeed, they're starting to waver and get crushed. It's not often you see a death spam like that against the Sturges in this campaign. And you take advantage of the fact that their lines are broken, right? Anytime you have the enemy sort of out of order like this, I guess not very well assembled, their forces are broken, attack aggressively. That's your opportunity for another advantage out of this. It's a little bit like what Napoleon and the French forces did after the battles of Jena-Auerstadt. They were twin battles in the Napoleonic era, 1806 timeline, where they mangled the Prussians in basically back-to-back battles. The battles were near each other, and it basically destroyed the field armies of the Prussians. They do a little reset now here. I'll finish that little thing. It's a brilliant campaign. Of course, you could say that about most of Napoleon's campaigns, all except 1812. And what it effectively did is it was almost like an original blitzkrieg, where the French just went apeshit on the Prussians. The Prussians made a critical mistake of not fighting with the Allies. There was a coalition. If you research Napoleon, you learned there were like 6, 7 coalitions or something like that. They kept coming up with original names, you know, like the 4th Coalition, the 5th Coalition. And all that shit meant was, you know, they were picking on Napoleon with 4, 5, 6 countries. Usually England, Prussia, Russia was involved most of the time. Anyways, they hadn't coordinated, and sort of a cocky Prussian force. And keep in mind, of course, for 100 years, the Prussians had basically the toughest army in Europe, 1700s era. They decided to take on Napoleon themselves with only a little bit of help. I think they had some Saxon help or something like that, and they got mangled. Napoleon pushed their shit in hard. They weren't prepared, and worse than that, their forces got split. And Napoleon's armies, between Napoleon and I think it was Marshal, who was it? It was one of his best. I can't believe I can't remember the fellow's name. Let's charge here. We got a line of infantry running against our crossbow. I only remember his nickname sometimes, the Iron Marshal, right? Not Uno. Fuck, can't believe I can't remember his name. Anyways, point is the Prussians got beaten back-to-back battles, and what Napoleon and his marshals did is say, let's fucking pound them quick. They besieged several critical cities, critical citadels. They blasted them a few more times in the open. Very quick cavalry movement after the battles of Jena Auerstadt, and it was over very quickly. This battle is going to be over very quickly. So we've got infantry on the left here. I'm trying to see what the enemy's doing. What they're doing is going right between our forces here. I've got, ironically, a crossbow infantry division over here. It's obviously not a true infantry division, but they're pretty fucking tough, right? These Sergeant Crossbow, there's a handful of helmetless sword sisters in here fighting with us. She did the job, though, right? And we've got shock troops, or not shock troops, we've got Consguards on the flanks. Archers positioned now to flank the enemy, and we're just going to keep this steamroller going. I could get a horse, but I think we're okay here. And, you know, you want to level athleticism. When you have an opportunity like this, I don't think this is a battle that we're going to lose at this stage. We have a superior position. We have smashed the enemy's early elite attempts to hold us back here, and you can just tell from the body language, right? The enemy body language, when they're doing that shit, that sort of backpedaling, that sad-looking backpedaling, although they just, it's like, hey, he notices our backpedal and attack. This enemy here is about to rout. Their archers are trying to regroup. And we're just going to keep this steamroller going straight forward here. We've got time here to get a little soda. A little bit of caffeine here. Now, reforming the lines here, just because we don't want to be strewn out as well. The enemy did get a lot of their troops reformed, but it's not going to save them at this stage. Enemy's being throttled pretty bad. I'll pick up a shield here, because they do probably have a lot of archers coming. Part of the reason I'm being silent is because I can't believe my brain is dying so quickly. I can't remember the name of basically Napoleon's best marshal. You guys, I'm sure, will write it in the comments. You guys know exactly who I'm talking about, you Napoleon fans. Battle of Jena Auerstadt. Napoleon was incredulous when he heard this guy had destroyed the Sturgeons. Like I said, it was twin battles, but Napoleon was at the smaller of the two battles. The larger Prussian force actually got smashed by this outstanding marshal of Napoleon. Realistically, this guy's as good as a field general, right? He was probably the second best commander out of all the different troops on the field. Napoleon being the only person on the field probably more suited to command. I memorized the guy's nickname because he's got a great nickname, right? The Iron Marshal. But for whatever reason right now, with my Alzheimer's brain, I can't recall the name. All right, so just holding the enemy at bay here with cavalry. These guys in front of us are getting slaughtered, but that's so that we can make troop movements here, right? The cavalry definitely is going to take the beating here at times while we shield and screen our forces coming up. I'm getting concerned that the enemy still has tier 5 units. But I also see units in the back there scurrying, it looks like off the battlefield. And we have just a superior position on the enemy at this stage. Let's keep pushing forward. I want this guy's camel. What number are you? Well, I'm not going to dismount the whole division just to get his camel. And this battle is over. So, you know, I don't know. A recipe to destroy the Sturgeons / Norse. This is for sure it, right? Now you gotta have the right battlefield. Obviously, this battlefield is imperative. Let's whip out this shield here so we don't get smoked. Their archers just pulled out all their bows. They're still fucking fighting, and I still see tier 5 units in the enemy ranks. This is amazing. Kill them, boys. God, these fucking enemies. With this strength in AI, man, this game is just, it's absolute hell mode. Now we got him. Look at that motion, that side-to-side motion. That's not reforming right there. Those guys are looking for some way to get to their hovel. They're out of here. This battle just ended. Now it's just time to mop them up here. Now you're worried about casualties for your companions, right? I don't need to lose Rose if she's still up or something like that. But at the same time, like if they escape with 800 troops here, they might be able to run away, right? So you sort of want to kill every single last Sturgeon here. They're stubborn fucking shields. I finally got it. It only took me fucking 15 minutes. Marshal Davout, D-A-V-O-U-T, the Iron Marshal, was a fucking badass. That's fucking, speaking of companions, this is fucking Henry right here. This is amazing. Henry is fighting right next to me here. And that just shows you, he just clubbed a guy with his sledgehammer. That just shows you how well we protected our archers here. I mean, the superiority of tactics in Bannerlord, just, you guys all know it already. But man, the guys who haven't found tactics in Bannerlord, it's basically like they have a wife and haven't found the vagina. They really are in a state of missing out. And it's sort of extraordinary to me how many people play Bannerlord, and I see them, they conquer the whole map, and then they're like, you know, someone asks them, what tactic did you use? And they're like, oh, I got a big army, F1, F3 dominates, man. And I'm like, man, at least learn the biology of your spouse, dude, because you're really missing out. But you fellas aren't, right? You guys are getting enlightened. There's a ton of guys on a regular basis that find the channel, discover tactics, and it's never mind success, right? You're experiencing joy, right? The joy you get from having an incredibly difficult situation like this and smashing your opponent into next week. You can't replicate this very easily in a video game, right? You're getting all kinds of dopamine. You're getting all kinds of reward center shit because you had a plan and executed it. And you don't get that with F1, F3, right? Those F1, F3 guys, I bet you could have like a psychological pull. Most of those guys, compared to the guys doing tactics, they're like depressed. They F1, F3, and they feel just like people do when they don't accomplish a job by themselves. Someone else down the line does it. It weighs on our brains. And all right, never mind. You guys get it, right? Do some tactics. Incredible results here, and a critical victory in this campaign. As I get too philosophical here at the end of this huge battle. We've got these Lake Rat wreckers, and I'm digging that, right? We have, I think, 2 or 3 that Ryland has picked up in his army at the moment, and I'm going to hold on to these guys for a little bit, but the influence continues to be a major problem. We've got to continue to win more battles. I've got to look at other ways to farm influence and just sort of build it up here as our troops wrap up this battle, because you just can't go on... didn't join the battle. We're also, you know, the reinforcement system is acting, I want to say it's a little bit on the light side here. Okay, no deaths for us, only the Sturgeons. It's troops are not adding very readily to the battle, and I guess I'm okay with that, right? We don't need, and look at this, I got 2 influence. 2 influence? So it's almost like it's bugged. I don't know why it's so low, right? That was a huge battle. Oh, this is why, because it's not wrapped up yet. I'm not sure why it's not wrapped up. I guess those troops routed. That's more like it, right? 40 influence. Now we're talking. Just doubled our influence in one battle. All right, I'll quit my bitching here. But we're still going to have to figure out more ways to squeeze influence and maybe squeeze one of her something or others. Get Savannah into our army here. We add the dipshit Prince Ragenvad. He's been a disgrace for the Sturgeons. Every time I see him, I salivate. Every time I see the Nord leaders, I tremble a little bit. But then we whip out our tactical tool bag, and at least we got a shot, right? You never know what you can do with tactics. With F1, F3, you know what you can do, right? You can barely win when you outnumber the enemies. So onward we go in this campaign. Ryland continues to ascend. His fame is probably rubbing wrong. Right? Some of the leaders within the Khuzait kingdom. You don't see Manchug leading an army, right? What you see is Ryland leading an army and leading him to success. You don't see Manchug captured so-and-so. You see Ryland captured so-and-so. And think about it, like from a role-playing level, the Khan wouldn't like that very much, right? Unless it was very clear that Ryland was his errand boy. All right. I'm going to wrap this episode up. We're starting to do good things here, right? And the campaign really is coming down to major clashes here. There are 4 kingdoms. There's all kinds of rebellions, so there's still other chaos and other elements at play here. But the Khuzait, the Sturgeons, shall we say the Sturgeon Norse, the Vlandians, and the Aserai. What's going to happen, friends, in this campaign? Some of it's going to be twists and turns that I've still got planned, but a lot of it's just going to be raw combat, bashing it out against these nasty foes. Stay tuned for more. Of course, you want to subscribe if you want to see future episodes. Hit notifications if you want to see future episodes. Please hit that like button, friends, on the way out. You damn rebels. And with all that said, I will see you, friends, next time. Time to burn down some huts, motherfuckers.